Oh, hello you. Sorry I didn't see you there, I just had to nip down to make some of my naughty noodle soup. You know me, I can't go without my midnight nibbles. We're meant to be working on our ASMR indulgent video tomorrow morning, aren't we? Wonderful. Well, I'll just finish this up if you don't mind. Probably finish with a slice of cheesecake because who doesn't love a bit of cheesecake indulgence? And I'll see you in the morning when I'm all dressed. Okay. Bye. Well, hello there. It's me, Nigella, and today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. Now you'll have to excuse me as I have these rather delightful spherical items in front of me, otherwise known as some ASMR microphones, and we'll be delving into some of my favourite little items and see if we can make some juicy sounds with them. So, let's get started, shall we? Okay. Now, for me, when I think about naughtiness, I think about chocolate. Now, this particular one comes in the form of a biscuit. So let me introduce you to my rather naughty biscuit tin. Here it is, in this rather long tube here. I've been told that tapping is found to be quite stimulating. In a relaxing way, of course. So, these are my dark chocolate macadamia nut biscuits. I rather like the packaging of these. I think there's something about when things are beautifully packaged, it makes it all the more indulgent. Now, of course, the biscuits themselves are crumbly. They melt in the mouth, dissolve rapidly on the tongue. My favourite time to indulge in this delectable delight is in the afternoon or late evening with a nice rich coffee. I really don't think there's a better combination than chocolate and coffee. So let me share with you some other things. Now, although we just spoke about coffee, which I do of course adore, I have to say that I am a big fan of nettle and peppermint tea. I love the shake of a bag. These are most delightful, refreshing and calming as well, I find, because we all do need to find the time to relax. I'll read you in my very best whispered voice what it says on the packaging. Let your imagination run free, like carefree children playing in the sunshine. Wild leaves of nettle and peppermint magically become bright green windmills spinning in the light breeze. What does it taste like? Despite its prickly reputation, nettle makes for a surprisingly light and delicate infusion. which we've brought to life with some cool peppermint. So this contains 50% nettle. And they are right, there is a misconception about nettles, but they have some truly wonderful properties. Of course, when one is relying on coffee to keep them going during the day, it can be quite nice to use something that's caffeine free. I find this particularly soothing in the evening, just before I go to bed. And of course, if I do happen to fancy some nibbles in the night, which I quite often do, then I find this tea is perfect for helping me get back to sleep. Such an enticing sound. But we must move on because I have more to share with you. So, well, I suppose this is quite a random selection I've chosen for you today, but I do rather like these plump little blueberries. Now, fruit like this is wonderful because what you can actually do is you can choose to freeze some of these, and then when you do need them, you can simply take them out of the freezer, and they can be used, of course, in smoothies or desserts, or just like this to nibble. These ones are particularly round and plump, just as they should be. I find I'm quite fussy when trying to pick the right blueberry. I often buy most of my things from my local delis and farm shops, but it can be still quite difficult, especially with more organic products, to really make sure that you're getting the uniform blueberry. But these are particularly round and delicious. In fact, just talking about them, I can see that what I've been told is some mukbang is going to be coming. So let's have a little bite of one of these. These really are absolutely delicious. Completely the right ripeness and plumpness for consumption. Seems such a shame to waste something like this almost in something like a smoothie when they can be enjoyed so pure. There is nothing quite like a little round, plump blueberry. So, there we have one of my less naughty nibbles. I always think it's good to have some things in the pantry that, you know, are nice and healthy, because I do enjoy lots of rich and indulgent food. And of course, when I'm having guests over, often the dinner parties can be extra indulgent. So I find that for the day or two after that, I like to detox with some more simple foods. So something like these blueberries are absolutely perfect for that. They make me just smile looking at them. Right, let's move on. I don't want to keep you too long. So one thing that is very important, especially in my kitchen, is some good old Italian extra virgin olive oil. There really is nothing quite like the taste of this. And of course, this is the superior category olive oil, obtained directly from the olives and solely by mechanical means. So there we go. I always try to buy the best of the best with these particular types of ingredients because I find that they really are kind of your larger essentials, as it were. It just makes me smile just using even a little teaspoon of this, whether it be just sauteing some onions or whatever I'm doing. I really do find that buying the best olive oil that you can get is always the best option. Oh, actually, I quite like that sound. Like the sound of tapping on a wine bottle, which of course is one of my favourite things, but I haven't included it today. That sound is just the sound of joy to me, the sound of togetherness and cooking and delectable nights of debauchery, and this is the start of it all. So that is used in a lot of my recipes. And we don't worry about the calories, of course. So what else do I have for you? So many treats. Okay, what can I share with you next? Ah, yes. Now, the next thing that I've got for you is something that I use when I want to add an infusion of spiciness. And we all love a bit of spice. So, excuse the tin, as it has been in my pantry for quite a while and it is quite well used. So, we have some Ras El Hanout. And this is a Moroccan style spice mixed with rose petals. Now, rose petals are a flavour that are quite delicate, and whenever I am thinking of doing an infusion with something like that, I have to think about the balance quite carefully. But what's so wonderful about something like Ras El Hanout is that all of the flavours and spices are all balanced out for you. So if you are a beginner, then having something like a ready-made spice can be really, really perfect. You can still do all of your fancy little infusions and whatever you want to add to it on top, and have fun and experiment. But for me, when I'm thinking about something easy and quick, a bit of this is the perfect solution. Now, one of the things I actually love about this is it actually has a little recipe here for Moroccan spiced lamb. Now, there is something quite sumptuous about some succulent lamb, and lamb is one of my favourite meats, and I think when done right, it is something so special. So let me just share with you the recipe if you don't mind. So mix together 6 teaspoons of Ras El Hanout, 1 tablespoon of olive oil, and 2 tablespoons of honey. Cut 2 lamb steaks, of course, depending on whether it's just for you or if you're having a dinner party. Obviously, you can adjust the recipes, but anyway. Cut 2 lamb steaks into cubes and add to the mixture. Rub the marinade into the lamb, cover and leave for an hour. Now, one thing I do love about recipes like this is it allows me to go and potter about and do some other fanciful things. You see, there's something about these dishes where you can just leave and let simmer away, and then you can come back and it's all bubbling over, and it's just so delightful. Anyway, I'm losing track, sorry. So, anyway, Then you heat 1 tablespoon of olive oil, add the lamb and fry until brown. Stir in 85 grams of chopped, ready-to-eat dried apricots and 110 grams of halved baby plum tomatoes. Now, plum tomatoes for me are just so ripe and juicy, and is there really anything better in life than a lovely, ripe, juicy tomato? I don't think so. So, once you've done that, of course you need to season with a good old salt and pepper, and cook on a low heat for 10 to 15 minutes until the lamb is cooked. And of course you can serve with couscous. Something for me I really like to do is served with jeweled couscous, which of course is couscous mixed with just a delightful mix of berries and all sorts of things, because I feel that it just adds a real unctuous texture to the couscous and makes it a little bit more filling as well, and of course a feast for the eyes as well. It's perfect to add in things like cranberries when you're having a dinner party. You can see them just delicately balancing on the top of the couscous like little jewels, and it's just delightful. So, a bit of ras el hanout is definitely one for the kitchen cupboard. Okay, so not too much more to go, but some very special things to come. Now, we'll start with one of the more simple things, which for me is of course an essential, but seasoning to me is like the sun in the sky. It's just essential. You can't imagine cooking without it. So let me get for you my very favourite pepper grinder. Now, who doesn't love a good old grind? And this one is fabulous. I think one of the things I love about cooking and being in the kitchen is all of the nice little accessories that you can find. Just even hearing the shake of the peppercorns is just so delightful. And for me, pepper is so underrated. It really can just transform a dish. There are some people who like to really overdo it with all of these herbs and spices, but for me, I think just keeping it simple with salt and pepper can really just transform a dish. So, whilst obviously it's not an essential to have a delightful grinder, for me it just adds something a little bit fancy to what you're doing, and if you can't have fun in the kitchen, where can you have fun? So, yes, when I want a good old grind, I know where to look. Now, just let me see. Just a couple more things for you. So we spoke about spice, but we can't forget the sweetness. Now, for me, the best type of sweetness comes from honey. That's right. This beautiful Manuka honey is really perfect, especially if you're looking to use a natural source of sugar. Now, I don't think there's anything better than a bit of sticky honey. So, let's have a little taste, shall we? I've been told that jar sounds can be very relaxing. Must be careful. You can see the honey just gliding down there, nice and wet. Okay, I think it's time for a taste, don't you? Now, let's just take a little bit. use fingers. You can see the gloss on that as it just drips down my finger. This really is the best type of honey, and you can use this in so many ways. Of course, I love it on my oats in the morning. I quite like to do a thing called overnight oats. You can find a recipe, of course, in my book. But for me, honey is just nature's nectar. And I think there's something quite special about using something natural from nature. When it does come to honey, it's also quite important, I feel, to look for the best one if you can. So you'll find lots of manuka honeys with different active levels. So just do what you can afford, I would say. But you only live once, so I like to think, why not enjoy the best? Now, let's see what else I have for you. Now, for me, chocolate is the essential to every home. There's nothing quite like just delving your finger into a bowl of chocolate, or eating a slice of chocolate tart with some whipped cream, or something as simple as just having a bite of a bar of dark chocolate. Now, it's important to always look, I feel, for at least 70% if you would like to have some of the best flavour and the highest content of chocolate. Now, this one here is actually not from one of my local shops or my delis. This is actually from a supermarket, and I'm not a complete snob, I do shop in supermarkets. And this one is flavoured with raspberries. Now, I actually only dashed out to buy some more of this morning because sometimes if I'm having a particularly busy day, I can easily finish a bar in an hour, so I have actually even already had a little bit, but I'll show you the delightful packaging. So here it is in its gold ensemble. And now I'm going to ravish it by undressing it carefully. And you can smell straight away the strength of the chocolate and just the hint of sweetness from the raspberries. And a piece is already broken, inviting me in, so it would be rude to ignore such an invite, I'm sure you can agree. So, absolute heaven. Dark chocolate is such a wonderful, wonderful thing because it actually includes a lot of health benefits as well. But we don't really care about those, to be honest with you. For me, it's all about the taste. And why shouldn't we indulge ourselves from time to time? I do feel that if you are going to indulge yourself, then opt for something a little bit special, a little bit different, something that perhaps you wouldn't just, I don't know, drop into a cake mix. One thing that I do love to do is, when I know that I'm potentially having guests around, which for me is quite a lot, what I like to do is I actually like to pre-bake some cookies or cakes, just little things. And I actually like to use dark chocolate for my dark chocolate cookies, obviously. They're particularly chunky and gooey and gorgeous. I'll make quite a large mix. So what I'll do is I'll divide it by 2, and I'll obviously cook some to eat right away because they're just too gorgeous. And then I'll simply slip some away into the freezer. And then as soon as I hear the knock at the door, I know my guests will be hungry. So I can just whip them out and I can simply just delve them into the oven and let them cook away and rise. There really isn't anything better than a risen cookie. So let me just finish this off. I think we might have done all of the things, you know. And I'd rather have grown to like this ASMR. Well, I've had such a delight sharing some of my most beloved things with you. It's been like having a friend over. Of course, there is one more thing that I seem to have on my lap already. Well, of course, there I am. It's me, how embarrassing. I don't really know why this is on my lap or how it got here, but well, this is one of my classics, isn't it? So, whilst I have done many cookery programs and cookery books, Nigella Express just lives on. Let me see before I leave you if I can share with you just one of my favourite recipes. Now let's see. Am I feeling savoury or sweet? Well, I think I know just the recipe. Yes, my chocolate pistachio fudge. Now this gives you just the right hit of sweetness without being too overindulgent. So let me just quickly share with you how to make that. So you want to start by putting the chopped chocolate, condensed milk, that oozing butter and creamy milk and salt in a heavy based pan on a low heat and stir it until it succumbs to the heat and melts. Then you want to put the nuts in a freezer bag and gently but firmly use a rolling pin to just crush them lightly. You still want to have some good sized pieces, but you want to show those nuts who's boss. Once you've done that, of course, you want to add the nuts to the chocolate and add in the condensed milk. You then want to just stir that all well. Make sure that you stir firmly and incorporate all of those delicious ingredients. You wouldn't want to waste anything. Then pour and spatch this mixture into a foil tray 23 centimetre square, smoothing the top. That's my favourite part actually, when you can see it just in the tray, just waiting. Sumptuous. Then let the fudge cool and refrigerate until set. You can then cut them into little pieces. I'll allow you to decide how indulgent you want to be. And then, of course, once cut, you can keep them in the freezer. No need to thaw, just eat straight away. Now, this does make approximately 60 pieces of fudge. Okay, so you should end up with something that looks like this. But even if you don't, because let's face it, we can't all be me. To be honest with you, as long as something tastes good, you're going to eat it anyway, so it doesn't really make too much of a difference. Well, with that, I will leave you. But thank you so much, my darlings, for joining me today and being here to discover ASMR with me, which I must say is absolutely wonderful. It's something that I'll definitely be looking into more because I found it so relaxing with you today. Now I must go because I can hear a brownie calling my name. Speak to you later. Right. Must tidy these away. Actually I must get those cookies out the freezer as well. Okay, good. I think I've got 8 people coming round later. What's that? Oh God, what's the time? Oh, we've got everything. Oh, that's wonderful. No, thank you so much. Yes, it's been absolutely delicious. I have enjoyed every single moment with you. Okay, can I go now? Fabulous. Shall I leave you to tidy up? I'm sure you can find where everything